The Amgen Tour of California continued its journey north as it started its third stage from King City, heading towards Laguna Seca Raceway, very close to Monterey itself. It was a ride of 122 miles, and it would finish on the descent of the Corkscrew at the Laguna Seca Raceway itself. At the sign-in, Paul, the world champion Peter Sagan, who won on this stage 2 years ago, a hot favourite.
All of the jerseys and all of the big favourites starting on the front line, and King City, first time visit for the Amgen Tour of California. It didn't take very long for a breakaway of 3 riders to get clear very early on. 2 riders from Team Rally, Evan Huffman, joined by Robin Carter and Ian Garrison.
Those 3 riders, and it was fact Robin Carpenter the first to crack in the front group when the riders who'd had a lead of 5¼ minutes were being slowly brought back. Then an attack from Lawson Craddock from the field as the riders continued to cross the many small climbs in the Carmel Valley route today. Craddock got up behind Carpenter, who was falling back, and couldn't work with Craddock, who just rode away from him in pursuit of the 2 leaders, Evan Huffman and Ian Garrison. Then there was mechanical for Hoffman as his back wheel flicked there. His chain had jammed and he lost control of the leader, Ian Garrison, who went on, leaving Evan Huffman here to try and get himself back into the race. And Ian Garrison wasn't waiting for him.
Yes, Lawson Craddock was in fact trying to stay clear, but there was a lot of riders getting shelled off the back of the main field, including 2 great sprinters, Marcel Kittel and Mark Cavendish.
Meanwhile, up front, Ian Garrison finally had company again, but it wasn't just Evan Huffman who was reaching them. As they went over the top of the climb, it was Tom Squeenge who had come up, went over the top of the Laurier's climb, and behind was now Sean Bennett. Huffman himself was back in the field, the pack a lot smaller when the day had started, and then an attack from Tom Squeenge.
Yes, there were still 2 climbs facing the riders before they got down towards the finish. The last one was the climb into the motor racing circuit at Laguna Seca, but Tom Squeenge felt he had the wings to fly.
Yes, but he was joined by another one of the young superstars of this week's event, and that's Sean Bennett here. But a flat tyre for the top sprinter and the winner of the stage into Long Beach, Fernando Gaviria. His race was done, too close to the finish.
It always seemed as if the 2 riders off the front of the main field were going to get picked up by the race of a main group in the main field, and it hovered at 5 to 7 seconds their advantage. But when they hit the last incline, Tom Squeence managed to open up the advantage.
He managed to hold them off. They came down the Corkscrew. They had a matter of 8 seconds. They had 8 seconds for the last 2 miles. But Tom Squeenge now had managed to just get a slight lead over Sean Bennett, and he was still not sure he could make the finishing line. One last look over his shoulder. He headed down to the final bend. Would Bennett get back? But the field were now out of this. It was down to the man from Latvia to win the stage. Out of the dust he came as he raced towards the finishing line, and Tom Squeenge, who exactly a year ago to the day was leaving this race suffering from a broken collarbone and concussion, he was now winning at the stage as he came up towards the line.
And as he swung into the final few hundred meters, he took one last glance, took over his shoulder and confirmed that he had the advantage, and then the emotion of victory exploded.
Couldn't believe it, a shake of the head, and then his own little version of a dance as he raced up towards the finishing line. Sean Bennett a little upset with himself for being left just on that last crucial climb, but nonetheless the youngster was in 2nd place. They held up a fast finishing field brought in by Caleb Ewan, the Australian sprinter, and the world champion Peter Sagan crossing the line in 4th. But in 5th place was the overall race leader, Bernal. They really could not believe it. A great victory for Trek Segafredo and a very, very special, memorable victory for Tom Squeenge. Gaviria, well, he could only thought of what might have been as he came in, beaten by a flat tyre. So the day's stage was won by Thomas Squeenge, his 3rd historically in the Amgen Tour of California, but the man who's kept his overall lead in every competition at the moment. He leads by 25 seconds, Egon Bernal, over Rafael Majka. Adam Yates held on to 3rd place, and in fact there was no change on the leaderboard because they all finished in that chase group led home by Caleb Ewan. The top 10 completed by Laurence de Plus. And the man who's got all of the jerseys, Bernal. He is the best on time, the best on points, the best in the mountains, and the best young rider as well. But the most courageous rider, well, that was Ian Garrison. Well done to him.